Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dawson. Welcome to Leader Talk. This show is proudly brought to you by Brainiact. Each week we are meeting with incredible leaders from around the world to discuss all things leadership and business insights. Each person coming on this talk show has given up their valuable time for one very clear purpose: to give back to small and medium business owners. Now, are you struggling to build a world-class sales team, or are you perhaps just starting and don't even know where to begin? Well, today, Gus, Arianto and I are fortunate to chat to our guest, David Abdelmessih, Managing Director of UConnect International, which includes several well-known companies under its umbrella, including Buzz Cleaning. David is a dynamic leader in the business world. Amongst his many accomplishments, David built and scaled Spa World into 35 stores selling in 38 countries. And David is here today to teach us all how to build a sales culture in our business, beginning with a blank canvas, as well as his secrets to building, scaling, and selling a business. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you very much for having me, Natalie. Hey, Gus, how you going?
Very good, David. Thank you for donating your valuable time. We can't wait to learn from you. This is an important topic, selling.
And that's
absolutely.
That's exactly where we're going to begin this, Gus. We've got two fun icebreaker questions, and we are dying to ask you the most difficult question of the day. The first one: can you share a memorable moment from your early days as a door-to-door salesperson?
Yeah, well, door-to-door sales, probably the first experience that I've had with sales. It's probably the most difficult. You know, you're going to someone's house, you're interrupting them, and yeah, it's pretty lucrative back then, and I was averaging 1 or 2 sales a day, and as an 18-year-old, I was pretty happy with that. We're getting about $50 commission a sale, and so I was doing okay, working 5 days a week. But I just remember probably 6 months into it, a Scottish backpacker came into the business as well, and he started selling, and he was selling 10 to 15 a day, and I kept asking him, I'm like, Craig, what are you doing? What is it? What are you doing different to what I'm doing? And he just said, oh, I'm just, being nice, Dave. He just wouldn't tell me. He wouldn't give me the secret. And then it was probably not until another 6 months after this, he's buying all these nice things because he's making a lot of commission. 6 months after this, that I was leaving the business. I was moving states. I was leaving Melbourne, coming to Sydney. And on the last day of work, he said to me, Dave, I'm going to tell you what I was doing. And I said, okay, well, thank you. It's the last day. But he opened up his backpack, and in his backpack, he had a yellow vest and a yellow helmet. And I said, what are you doing with that? And he said to me, you go to the door and you knock. And as soon as they see you, as they're walking to the front door, they're like, you're a salesperson. Already you've put them in the wrong frame of mind. He goes, I'm knocking on the door. I've got a yellow helmet and a yellow vest on. They're thinking I'm a worker. So he goes, we're doing some work in the street. So he taught me about pre-framing. So that really set me up, because he was getting people, letting them know that they were doing work at the neighbor's house, and he was sorry for all the inconvenience. And then while he was there, he's like, well, I might as well just let you know, if you wanted to get it done as well, I won't charge you installation because our van's going to be here next week anyway. And people would go ahead because they didn't think he was a salesperson. And so again, that just taught me about pre-framing, and I really fell in love with sales from that day on.
What an incredible story.
I'm speechless. I thought I know sales the way that story goes. Wow.
Yeah.
Pre-framing. Fantastic.
Amazing. And David, what is one thing that you're passionate about outside of business that might surprise us?
Passionate about. I'm passionate about basketball. It's just one of those little things that I used to play when I was younger, and I kept it going. And I've got a house up the coast, and I built a full-size basketball court. And so I play with my boys, and we travel overseas to watch some games, NBA games, and so I like my basketball a lot.
Amazing.
It's
Amazing.
one of my passions.
And before we go on, please tell us and our audience more about yourself, your career. I mean, it's been incredible. I only gave that brief intro at the beginning. If you can tell us more, that would be amazing.
Yeah, sure. I guess as a salesperson, I came to Sydney. My wife was already selling spas, outdoor spas, jacuzzis, hot tubs, all different names for them. And so she got me into the business, and we started doing sales together. And then an opportunity opened up with another company called Spa World, and we joined Spa World back in 2007, and we were doing really well. I remember first meeting the owners of Spa World back then, and they said, "Listen, we'd like to have you at this store, and we're happy to give you wage plus commission." So it was a very small commission, a decent wage. And I just said to the owners, I said, "Listen, how about you give me a high commission? How about you give me a flat rate of this on every sale that I get?" And I just remember looking at their faces as they looked at each other. Pretty much they're laughing, as if like they're going to win out of this, because there's no retainer, no wages, no sick pay. So we just pay him if he sells. And that store that I moved into had done 20 sales for the whole year. My first week in that store, and I was still getting to know the product, I'd done 14 sales. And after the first week, I remember them coming back to the showroom saying, "Dave, we need to renegotiate this commission business." And I said, "No, we've already got it in writing, and that's what I'll stick with." And that's how it started. And they were too scared to let me go because I already proved myself. And they just bit the bullet and paid me commission. And we both did very well that first year. And so Spa World was already a decent size. They had 60 dealers Australia-wide, but back in late 2008, I think the GFC had caught up to Spa World, and they had a lot of dealers, and they had a lot of, capital tied up and loans and all that caught up, and they went bust. And so me and my wife, we found ourselves out of a job. And one of the managers there was able to get one of the stores, retain its location. And he said, "Dave, Joe, if you stay with us, then I'll keep this store going, and we just run it with one store." And so we said, "Yeah, let's do it." And this is the thing. My business partner, Adam, he was just he's a very lovable bloke. And we always did things because we love people, culture. It's not about money, because money can come and go. But if you hate what you do, this life, you don't want to do something that you hate. You want to do something you love. So we really, really got along with Adam, and he was like a brother. And he said, let's do this together. And I said, let's go. Big risk, one store. We've got a bad name now because Spa World went into liquidation, and so all our competitors are using that to their advantage. And I said, that's okay. It's a long road. So we started with that one store, and a year later we opened up the second store. My wife went to the second store, and then a year later we opened up a couple more stores, and we just kept growing organically. And I just found that I guess with sales, as long as you were really good with the customers, you were very, very upfront and honest with customers, they were buying off you. The product was always second. Customers were buying you first. The product was always second. And I felt like a lot of our competitors had no idea. They were selling the product, and customers just felt like they weren't being heard, weren't being understood. Whereas when they came to us, we really were focused in on what that customer wanted. So that was the journey with Spa World. Then we ended up, like as you said in the intro, we had 35 stores Australia and New Zealand, and then 38 stores internationally, dealers, and we had a lot of salespeople. And my focus, my goal, my passion was sales. And so I trained every single salesperson. I spent time with every single salesperson, and we grew the business that way.
David, can I ask you a question? Just listening to your story, it clearly shows that you can build something from zero. You started moving to spa industry from zero background. Take the bullet with commission only, and then you build it, and then you start from one store and then become multiple store in locally and internationally. So you definitely love selling ideas, selling products, selling business. I just want to ask you this particular question. Sales is a funny thing. It's nice to hear until you have to do it. When Natalie and I met with business owners, through this podcast, many just basically said, look, I don't hate selling. So imagine I'm the owner of a business. What would you say to me if I'm the owner of a business and I said, look, I don't hate selling. I love your topic, David, but I'm a business owner, so I will get someone else doing sales in my business.
Yeah.
There is many like that. Yet you said, I'm the business owner. I am accountable to train all my salespeople. Like we don't hear this often. So what do you say to me if I just said, look, Dave, I don't hate sales, but I'm not doing it. I hire Gus to do the sales.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you need to take your business into your own hands, and the sales is your lifeblood. It's the money, it's the income coming into the business, and you really need to get passionate about sales. And so, I think the thing is people have a fear of public speaking and they have a fear of sales, and it's unusual because we're always selling each other. I ask a business owner, tell me about your business, and they'll be passionate about it. So they know how to sell. But when you tell them that you're selling something, all of a sudden there's all these roadblocks in their head and they get flustered and they don't know how to do it. And so there's always a structure, even in sales. There's always a structure on how to do something. But it's really getting to know your business is the sales part of it, because you get to hear what the customer's feedback is on your product. You might find that customers don't really care about something that you really care about and that is important to you. And it's okay, well, 10 customers really don't care about this thing that I've put a lot of effort and money into. So maybe when what they are saying is X, Y, Z, so maybe that's what I need to shift to. And that's exactly what happened to us. I mean, because I was the business owner and because the feedback I would get from customers was always two things when it came to spas. They would always say, Dave, I'm really worried about running costs. I'm really worried about running costs. And so, okay, they're worried about running costs. So we went and developed a heat pump system for spas. And so now when a customer said, we're the only company that has a heat pump that saves you 73% on energy. Well, now I've just answered their question. And now I've actually gotten more money from them because they're happy to spend more money to reduce their running costs. So our average sales was between 13 and 15,000, whereas our competitors were $7,000 to $9,000. And that's because I understood what the customers wanted. They will spend more money if I understand and deliver on that promise. And it was the same when they asked about cleaning systems. I'm worried about how to maintain my spa. I'm not a scientist. And so we developed a cleaning system where it was a set and forget. You don't touch it. It would create its own chlorine. It was all natural. And customers would pay a few $1,000s for it extra. So all of a sudden, again, bumping up our average sales. So we were very smart in that our goal was to reduce the amount of customers we had, but increase our profitability in our sales. And we're able to do that because we kept averaging our sales orders. Even just the year before we sold, our average sales order was close to $20,000. And and then we're reducing the customer count. So our competitors were $7,000. They would have to do 3 times the amount of work, the amount of sales, the amount of deliveries to get to where we were. And there was a lot more costs involved with that. So that was one of our keys.
Yeah. And am I right to say, listening to you, what you're saying is, at the end of the day, your business depends on your customer, and customer don't really care about what you do and what product you bringing unless you understand what they want. And the only way you understand what they want is by you have the chance to listen to what they're talking about. And if you hate sales and you distance yourself from meeting this customer, listening to this customer, and delegating that to other people in your business without you have a proper interest in engaging with this, you could miss certain small thing that can step change your business. In your case, is when you hear they want to save money, running costs, and that's where you're going in.
Absolutely. And there is another thing as well, is that you might have a salesperson say to you, it's just not working. I can't sell. The market's quiet. You'll get all these excuses from everyone. And it would happen with us. I'd get a call from our Brisbane store. For the last month, they've been really quiet. So I'd go up there for 2 weeks and I'd find that, I've just sold 10 times more than they have. It wasn't quiet. Maybe the spars weren't clean in the showroom. You didn't have the displays done properly. You weren't really passionate. You were opening up late. I was able to, my finger is on the pulse of the business. I'm not relying on other people. The minute you rely on other people and we're always relying on other people, especially as we grow. But when you try and disconnect, try and say, "Oh well, I'm a manager now. I don't sell." You're really risking something. And at the end of the day, you need to manage risk.
But Dave, as a business owner, like I, putting my finger on the pulse, it's what happened if I don't want that? What happened? My imagination when I'm starting my business is I'm not the one who actually putting my finger on the pulse somewhere. How dangerous that? Because we see it's happened. Where we don't find many of you, Dave, where you actually said, "Hey, I own so many businesses, but if that particular products or business or branch is not working, I'm going there for 2 weeks and put my finger on the pulse." Most people actually sending someone else that will come back and give a different excuses why the business is not running well.
Yeah. And maybe it's just myself because I know what to look for. I know how to look for it, and I'm not going to give myself an excuse. I don't give myself an excuse. That it is what it is. And so if I went there and it was genuinely quiet, then now I can work on the marketing. Now I can say, okay, well, there's an issue with customers not walking in, or we're targeting the wrong audience. My finger is on the pulse. I'm not, if I sent someone else and they said it was quiet, but it was busy, and then I spent money on marketing, then I'm wasting money, I'm wasting time. So yeah, just putting my finger on the pulse is so important as a business owner, because what's the alternative is that you don't do enough sales, or the sales aren't profitable, and you lose your whole business. So you're either, sometimes you just have to do things that you don't love doing.
And you know what, just listening to all this, David, and I'm sure there'll be listeners listening now that would agree, think of sales as something scripted. You've got this thing, you memorize what you have to say, you go out there and you sell the product. But what we've just learned, and I've learned this as well, it seems like listening is a key characteristic of a good salesperson. Is that correct? Because it's not something that I would think is a characteristic of a salesperson, to be honest. Here's my key targets for the month, here's my my script, here's the people I need to call, let me go out and do it. But it sounds like there's a lot more to it.
Absolutely. And the worst thing is to run off a script. The worst thing is to say, okay, well, I'm going to go this way. We have an idea of how we want to go, but with sales, it's all about listening. Like you've just mentioned, we're listening to the person. And so how do we get the person to speak is we've got to ask questions. So a good salesperson is a master at asking questions, asking really good questions and getting the person to open up. And we always talk about with customers, it's always 3 or 4 layers deep. When they give you an answer, why do you want to spar? It's because you want to have fun with the family. Why do you want to have fun with the family? Are you guys not able to spend enough time together? Is it a busy life? Yeah, this is what's happening with the kids' sport. What are the kids? So you start to dig deeper and deeper until you get to ask the 4th or 5th question, and then you get to the source of the real reason why they want to get it. The wife wants to be connected back with the kids because the kids are on devices, or the husband and wife want to rekindle. There's reasons for them to initially start, and when we can dig to that reason, we can really build that connection between the product and them. But because we've asked all those questions and we're listening, all of a sudden they love us as well. So they feel like they've been heard. When they feel like they've been heard, they trust us. And sales is a trust game. They trust you. Okay, well, we're going to trust you with our money.
And Dave, how often you experience this? Because it's happened to me. You're walking on the, different places where there is people showing stuff, whether it's a car, whether it's a product. You don't have a need for that products, but you actually like the product. So you actually want to go there. But the minute you see a salespeople, you're walking away. Yeah. But there is a case where you walk, and then somehow there is certain salespeople that make you want to come in. How to differentiate ourselves between the two? How do we become that person where people, because when we see each other, no one talk. We don't talk about who listen and who talk, but there is that energy that some people is inviting. Your energy is very inviting. We want to hear your topic, but some people is just like, oh, no, I better rock and roll from here.
Yeah. So again, if you're coming across like a sales person, and this is all about pre-framing, people don't want, they close off internally. They close off, and so we used to take our spas for 16 years. I was doing the Easter show here in Sydney. You're talking about the Easter show, mums and dads taking their kids to buy fairy floss and corn on the cob. Yet we were selling spas, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 spas, and we would consistently do $1.5 to $3 million worth of sales in 2 weeks of spas at an Easter show. And the thing is we'd get to the show. The whole idea was we're not there to sell. We're there to talk to a customer. So when a customer comes onto our stand, if we've got the pressure of trying to sell it, it's going to come through. So what we're all trained and wired to do is talk to the customer, see how they're doing, how's their day been. If they live in a unit or anything like that, it doesn't really matter. Just be friendly. And it will lead where it leads, because as soon as they let their guard down, oh, this person's not trying to sell me. This person's not trying to push me into a sale, because those sales that you push people into, they will never stick either. They'll either cancel the next day, cancel a week later, or they'll leave a bad review because they weren't in the. You never want that type. You don't want high pressured sales. If you really believe in your product and you believe it can help someone, then when you're talking to someone, it will come through and take the pressure off the sales. Take the sales thing out of your head, because a lot of people, it's that word sales that really triggers the internal mechanism to say, oh no, I'm selling. Well, it doesn't have to be that way.
So really just talk to people, and then isn't it, if we think of it that way, Gus, it's almost like we've just got to have conversations.
And I have,
it's a beautiful way of thinking of it. It's not scary or sleazy or whatever else we've these negative connotations that have come with selling.
Yeah. I have some sales leader told me a long time ago, and basically said human actually want to have everything. As a nature, whether you need it or not, it's secondary. Whether you have money or not, it's secondary. They actually want everything. Now, your ability to remove the guards, your ability to remove the defense mechanism. Hey, I want that car, but I don't have money. Now, let's understand this. The money can be resolved in other way, whether it's finance, whether it's interest-free. But the problem is the salespeople is too quick to judge whether when someone look like they have no money, the salespeople can show that he's not interested, or it's too pressurized, not understanding that the real problem is not whether he wants the red or the white one. He can have the purple one, but he just have no finance right now. So this ability, I think what exactly David also say as well, our ability to put the finger on the pulse, to really understand what the customer, and that can only happen when you ask them 4 or 5 questions.
And that's the point. And you said I've got no money. Okay, well, if money aside, if you did have that product, what would you do with it? It's all about questions. And all of a sudden you pack that to the side, and then they've painted a picture of how they're going to use it, what they're going to do with it, and all of a sudden they've come up with a solution for the money at the end anyway.
And David, for those that are listening in, and we've told them that we're going to talk about how to set up a sales team. So there's nothing. They're starting from a blank canvas. We've mentioned this in the intro. Where on earth, where do they start to actually build this incredible sales culture that we've been speaking about for the past 25 minutes? It sounds amazing, and it doesn't sound too hard, right, Gus? We've been thinking about it the wrong way, I think. How do we even begin to get our team to have these important conversations and not just go out there and read a script?
Yeah. And I guess that comes down to experience, because I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning when I was hiring salespeople. For me, when I was hiring salespeople, I would go look at the competitors, find the best salespeople, offer them a bit more money, get them on board. And the problem is I was getting there. Some of them had bad behavior, bad habits, bad culture. But I accepted it because I thought, oh, they're good salespeople. They're going to generate income. I wouldn't say very quickly, but over a number of years, seeing this and seeing how customers would respond to that type of salesperson, I realized that I needed to focus on culture. And it wasn't just sales culture, it was a culture in the whole business, even the finance team, the account, marketing team, any team that worked in our business, the culture had to be the same. So we set out from the ground up again, just starting again. And that's why I trained all the sales. Like, we would get people would advertise for sales, no experience necessary. And I'd do the interviews and talk to these people and just see how they would talk to me. How would they respond to my questions? And unfortunately, I don't have a magic wand and I didn't have a script. I just felt, I could feel when someone was genuine, and I could feel when someone was not just, going off a script for themselves or going off a script of their life, or they were just being themselves. They were able to have a good laugh. And even if their sales ability was zero, I could teach that. And it was amazing, because the ones that I brought in that had zero sales experience, it would be a very slow start, in all honesty. But once they started selling, they were the best salespeople. And till this day, the top performing salespeople at Spa World are the ones that we trained that had zero sales experience when they came on board. And they're consistently doing their $3-4 million each. So it's unbelievable when you can get these people, because as I was saying before, people buy you first. So these people had really good culture, really good personalities, and so people bought them, and then they bought the product secondary.
And Dave, what happened in my business now? I love it. You just changed the way I think about sales. I want to be involved. I want to start hiring salespeople. I want to build my. But still, where do I start? Because a small business, we don't have much money to suddenly have a proper structured salespeople with sales trainer. And mind you, my background is IT and finance, so I'm very introvert. Maybe good on the screen, but when I see people, I sweat from top down. So where do I start, Dave? How do I kickstart my business? I have a small plumbing business, selling my services and also selling parts. It's only small, only local area. Where do I start here so I can build it?
It's a big question, and I always think that it has to start with you, like number one, in you selling, to make sure it's. If you can't sell your own products for your own business that you're passionate that you started, then that's what you got to start with. You got to start with yourself and your own training. And we should all love learning. And I guess with sales, it's just learning. There's plenty of videos online. But it's just asking questions. And I think it has to start with the leader of the business, the owner of the business. And once they can get a few sales under the belt and they're passionate and they know what they're doing, then it's a matter of having someone shadow them for a few weeks. This is what we do. But I guess it's the right type of person. And I think that's key to any business. The right type of business, or the right type of person, can make or break your business, because the salespeople essentially are the face of your business. When you think of, when you go buy a car, you don't know who the mechanic is. You don't know who the managing director is. You don't know who the marketing people are. You don't know the finance team, but you know the salesperson. So the salesperson represents that whole company. So if that salesperson has got the wrong culture, the whole business is going to have the wrong face. It's going to look like that salesperson. And so that's why it's so important that the salesperson, that's why it's so important that you started off, because if you want this business to grow, which is, I'd assume why you're watching this podcast, is you want this business to grow is that you need to be able to put a face to your business. You need to be able to sell that business, and then you can actually pass that down to other people, and not leave fate in someone else's hands that you don't know, and just because they've got a sales experience.
You know, David, many business owners actually, you know, from all the things that I've read, they're hesitant to invest in sales. You know, work will come to me. I hope I get the next contract, all those kind of things. From your experience, how important is it to have a proactive sales strategy? You know, not just wait there and, you know, hope that they get it. How important is it that they take sales seriously and have this proactive strategy in place?
Yeah, this is a discussion I used to have with the accounts team all the time. The salespeople, the sales is the lifeblood of a business.
Yeah.
If the sales don't come in, there's no cash in the business, and you're doing the business a disservice, because you can't reinvest in marketing, you can't reinvest in new products and innovation, and so it all starts with sales. So every company, and this is something I learned again later on in life, is that because now that I have a number of businesses under my belt, all these businesses, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I am a sales and marketing company. That's what I do. So if I'm selling cleaning products, if I'm selling spas, my ability to market and sell those products is what's going to make that business successful. And so that goes for any business. If you're a plumbing business, if you're an electrical business, how well you can get people to reach you and you sell the product or sell the service is how successful your business will be. And so, I would say is that's where a majority of your time, effort, money should be spent, is on that part of the business. And once that is flowing, everything else can grow with it. But who cares if you've got a super service team, or a super accounting team, or a super marketing? If you're getting no sales, all this will die anyway. So the sales has to be coming in.
Very honest, and I hope everyone is listening to this, because, you know, that is.
Sorry, can I ask a question, Dave? Sorry, Nat.
Yeah, so real.
Selling. We come from the era changing. You know, sales as people knew it 20, 30 years ago to today are changing. How we reach out to the customer are changing. What's your view as a business today? Of course, we're talking out of the context of a particular business. It could be any business, but there are some people that we engage will say, look, you know, I'm not good with cold calls. I just want to send them email. Or I'm not good with cold calls. I just do flyers and put it on my website. What's your stand around this today? In today's day and age, in today's business, how do you reach your customer if you are, if we know that changing?
Yeah, I guess we live in a world where we're all connected, right? So we're in the business of trying to get attention. Like, really, their attention span is getting less and less, and our goal is to try and get their attention. One of the things that we actively started doing from 2018, because we were, I guess, addicted to Google, because we had to spend X amount to get X amount of leads, and as soon as we turned that tap off, we lost. So we had to spend millions of dollars of ads to get millions of dollars of sales. And so it was always one of those things. So back in 2018, we decided to start making content, because everyone's on YouTube, everyone's reading blogs, and so we actually hired full-time copywriters, we hired a full-time videographer in-house, and we just started to produce content. And what we did is we went off a philosophy called They Ask, You Answer. It's a book by Marcus Sheridan, and we contracted him out, and what he proposed to us was customers that go to purchase spas or any product will always have very similar questions. How much does it cost you to run? Do I need council permits? So we've done a bit of a survey to all our salespeople, saying, what are the top questions that people ask you? All of a sudden, we had an Excel sheet of 100 questions that people would ask you. Some of the questions you would dodge around, council, just ask your council, you can still sell. But we wanted to be honest, upfront, honest, right from the beginning. So what we started to do was make video content about each of those topics. And we were doing 3 or 4 videos a week, releasing consistently. Within 12 months, our YouTube channel was getting about 45,000 views a day. People were searching, do I need a council permit for a spa on Google? All of a sudden, our video would pop up, which we don't have to pay for. It's not an ad. So they were watching the video. The questions that they were asking our salespeople were now being put into Google, which was now giving them video or blogs that wasn't costing any money. So all of a sudden, we were able to start tapering down our Google ads, but our sales kept going up. Our sales, and I mean, just to give you an idea, from 2018, our revenues were around 30 to 35 million a year. 3 years later, our revenues was 120 million a year. That's the growth we experienced. Yes, COVID had something to do with it because people couldn't travel, they were buying spas, but the majority was because the trust that we got. When people watched our videos, they knew who we were. We don't want to buy a spa from somewhere else because we've watched 9 minutes of, David explaining how, council permits and how this works and being very upfront. And our videos would always start with, this might not be the right thing for you, but this is how we do things. And so people were thinking, oh, he's not trying to sell me. He's just being honest about how they do their spas. And so, yeah, it's a gold mine. And every month, just the viewerships would go up and up and up. And we kept reducing our ad spend. And the year that we sold the business, I mean, our ad spend dropped nearly $1 million in 12 months, but we're still getting triple the sales.
And what was the name of that book, David, just for our listeners?
They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan.
I have heard of this, but so answering all their questions. What a brilliant strategy.
Exactly. And
it obviously works.
And it does, but it's interesting that people just don't do it. I've told a number of businesses about this, and they put it in the too hard basket. And the problem, and they're focused on the financials of the business, and they're focused on the paperwork of the business. And it's like, no, that's not where your focus should be. Focus should be there. And then you can get someone to do your paperwork. You can get someone to do your bookkeeping. The sales and the marketing, that's where your focus should be, because that's where your business will explode.
Yeah,
I totally agree on this one too. On this one, because you cannot play with the books when the revenue not coming in.
Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't matter how you want to tidy this up. If there is no blood coming into the body, you're turning cold and dead. I love this. Sales is the lifeblood of the business. I think I really like this.
Yeah, if anyone is hesitant to invest, clearly, it's something that is a must for any business.
But Nat, what's interesting from David, the way I read it is, and I learn as well, is as the time move, what David focus is about getting the intention and giving back your solution back to the people that come to you, whether it's by cold calls or whether it's by digital advancement of you reaching out to the customer. You're not sticking with one thing. Our audience, we got the business that been around for quite some times, that might be successful through a traditional cold callings business, or we have a new business that only doing it through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Instagram. What am I correct, David, to say that your view on this is it's not important where you do it, just make sure that you focus on you want to get attention, and your target market might not be the target market that using LinkedIn. They might use something else. That's where you have to play.
Absolutely. I mean, every business has a different strategy of how they need to get their leads. And some will be cold calling, and some will be door to door, and some will be a showroom. And, but I think the thing is, the key takeaway is that with sales, don't be the same as everyone else. And this is the thing, because again, I mean, how many cold calls you get a day? I get plenty, and they all start off the same way. It's so-and-so from Telstra, so-and-so, and straight away you switch off. That's what
Yeah.
happens to me, because they're coming across, I know it's going to be a sales call, or I know it's a scam call, one or the other. And I don't want to hear either of them. But when you can break that mold, when you know that's how people come across when they call you, don't do the same thing when you call people, when you're cold calling. You know, when I used to cold call, I'd pick up the phone and say, "Oh, I'm not sure if I've got the right person. Is that you?" I'd act a little confused, and I just had a question about blah. So straight away they're intrigued about, oh, who's this person? They think they got the wrong number. Are you able to help me just for a moment? I'm just looking for the person that looks after the website. I think there might be an issue. Oh, yeah. So straight away, it sounds like I'm not asking for a particular person. I sound confused. I'm asking about the website that could be causing an issue. So I haven't even told them what the issue is. Straight away, they're like, oh yeah, I'll put you through now. Like it's very, don't be the same as everyone else. If I called up and said, listen, I'm from Norton Security and we've got a special on this week, bang, hang up.
Hang up. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
Yes.
it's just, I think people have got to just really find what is passionate in their business, how that their product or service in their business is going to help someone else, and focus on that as your sales direction.
Yeah. How do you identify good sales? You know, if I'm a business now and I just listened to your podcast and you said that, hey, if you invest the time, the person that not necessarily a good salespeople today, and because I'm a small business, hiring a salespeople expensive. Maybe if I invest in a new guy, new girl that is not experienced in sales, but I invest, can be a gun salesperson in the future. What characteristic of this excellent future sales guru that you're looking for? Like how do you know? Say I'm applying a job to your business today. What should I look at from a person?
Okay, well, I don't want to make you laugh, but I would take you out for a coffee and we'd spend an hour, and if we can't hold the conversation for an hour, we're no good. And I'd walk away from that conversation thinking, man, it felt like 10 minutes. Like what a great person Gus is, and what an amazing family he's got, and look what he's done. If I can walk away and feel that way about our conversation, I know I've got a winner. But if we've got awkward silence and our values don't line up, you know, for me, values are really important. It goes to the core of the person. And if the values don't line up and this person's a womanizer or does this or does that, it doesn't line up with the culture of my business. Maybe it lines up with someone else's business. But for my business, no, I've got a certain type of value culture that has to gel with our whole business. And so, you know, I don't want any, anyone getting sexual harassment cases in my business. I don't want any, lawsuits or anything like that. I want everyone to be on the same page. And so for me, that was important. If we sit down and have a coffee for and so I would take these potential, I'd have a lot of coffees, but I'd take this potential person to a cafe, sit down, have a coffee, and I'd walk away, and it might take 10, 20 people. And I'd walk away from one and say, that was an amazing conversation I had. You know, I felt like it was 10 minutes. This is the person. And I'll teach them sales.
And this is fantastic, because there's a lot of people go through process of different difficult question of interviews, and they become master in answering it, but they can't connect. And you just answer it correctly. I have coffee with the person. If they can connect and their values align with my business values, then that's the person, because everything else is teachable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like what I said before is that in the beginning I made mistakes. I used to look at the resume, 20 years sales experience, amazing. And they're used to answering these questions. I'd do an interview, I'd ask the same questions that that Seek tells you to ask, and they passed with flying colors. Yet when they got into the business, they were terrible. They were just terrible. And the culture they brought and the issues they brought with them was terrible. And so I thought that's when I had that light bulb moment, was I need to teach people from scratch. I need people with my values. I need people that knows how to hold a conversation. And that's what made the world of difference.
Nat, can you delete my resume and just put on my paper, I like coffee, and send it to David? Don't
Yeah,
send
I
the resume.
know, I know.
Please don't send my resume with so many years. Eh?
So, my brain is ticking because, like you hear these now. SDR is a big acronym that's being thrown around, the sales development representative. And there's lots of businesses that you can use for these cold calling. And I hear about it every single day. My inbox is flooded with them. My LinkedIn, message requests are all coming through. And then I think of what you've said, David, as simple as they are the face of the company. You could have a stellar finance team, an incredible who are going marketing team, comms team.
Yeah.
But they are the face, and yet they're investing. It's just really. Sorry, I've got a lot. Thinking about it in a lot. If that is the way a small business owner is going, they're using a third party to bring in a sales rep. What's your thought on that, based just on your advice, on what you've gone through with your business? If they're using a third party like that, based on, how you hired yours through as simple as a coffee, and if they can hold the conversation for an hour, what's your advice for the others taking it the other way?
Yeah. So I used to do it. I used to spend quite a few thousands of dollars, pay a company to find me a salesperson. And again, it's never, ever worked out the way I wanted it to work out. And so, so for me, I had to do it myself. And the other thing I did was, within the first 3 months, they're on a probation period. If they weren't good straight away, I used to make excuses. I used to say, I can probably make them better, or I can fix that attitude, or I can fix. But you can't fix an attitude, or you can't fix a personality. And I thought I could. And so after that, within the first 3 months, if I saw any of those flaws, they were gone. And so I never thought of myself as trying to fix someone, but if it was the sales, I could train it. If it was just the attitude, even the attitude to wanting to train to do more sales, or to do role playing, even those little attitudes, if it wasn't good or up to scratch, then I would get rid of them quickly. It didn't happen often, but I didn't stick with it like I used to. Like, if I paid for an agency to get a salesperson for me, the first 3 months wasn't good. I was like, yeah, but I paid 10 grand to get this person. I'm just going to wait it out. And then a year passes, and like, I should have done this a year ago, and then got rid of the person. But now it's cost me a lot more money because they're permanent. So all these little things that I've had to learn. And then the opposite to that is true as well. So once we got the right people in the business, they never wanted to leave us, and that for me was more important than the opposite, because everyone in the business, even the cleaners, were all the same. We're all the same. Well, everyone had to respect everyone the same in our business, in our company. And so because everyone felt like one big family, no one ever left us, which was amazing. We only got rid of people that we had to get rid of. But apart from that, no one ever left us because, we were so bad to them, or we didn't pay them on time, or we were a negative culture. It never happened. And for me, that was more of I guess, more satisfying to me, that everyone loved us. And like when we sold the business, people were just, our staff was so upset. So it was, it's testimony to what we built.
Amazing. And speaking of selling the business, I'm looking at the time, and we did promise our audience that we are going to be talking about building, scaling, and selling. So we have to ask you the golden question, David, because you mentioned early on, Spa World was bankrupt. They went down to that, you got that one store, and you turned that one store into 35 stores, selling in 38 countries. How were you able? Everyone wants to know, because, scaling into one country is difficult, yet you went from really nothing, a blank canvas, to 1 to 35, and then in 38 countries. Any key strategies that you can share with us on how you did that?
Well, basically, I think the thing is first of all, we got noticed because of what we're doing in Australia. So we got approached. When scaling overseas, it was really important for us to partner with a company that was already existing there, and someone that had the same culture as us. So again, culture didn't only mean just the salespeople; it also meant the people that we were dealing with overseas. And so, we would partner. We would interview a number of dealers. We'd see which one aligned with our culture. If they didn't, then it didn't work. And then we would partner with them, and we would, and it was, and it's not an easy process because every country has different regulations, has different codes and different types of styles that they like to spar in. And so, there was 3 of us, business partners, and then Andrew was focused on the international part of things, and he would be over there making sure that these people had the right culture, and then we would give them a go. And again, it was a very quick process, because if in 3 or 4 months we saw that there was issues, we would end it very quickly because we're putting our name on the line. So thankfully that never happened. It was just we got the right people nearly every time when it came to product. The only challenge we had was in the US, finding someone, because their setups was very different. Literally, there's a Spa store every 200 meters or 300 meters from each other, and it was just a very different, country to do business in. And so we purposely never touched the United States. So, but yeah, everywhere else we just scaled. But again, it comes down to the right people. And I think that's the most important thing. You can have the best location, the best foot traffic. If you've got the wrong salespeople or the wrong culture, it's not going to work.
And David, it sounded like you had a strong team, at Spa World. How important is it to have this strong team before you even think about scaling?
It's so important. For me, I always said to myself, if I'm going to hire someone, I want to, especially when it came to the management team, I wanted to hire someone that was much smarter than me. Because what's the use of me getting? Some people get scared of that, and they think, oh, if I hire someone smarter than me, they're going to make me look dumb. It doesn't matter. You want someone that's smarter than you, that can actually think outside the box, that can challenge your thinking. And so we would sit down, and we had people that were just so well qualified, or overly qualified, that I thought to myself, they should be sitting where I'm sitting. But these are the people we hired. And when you have that type of management team, you have this level of comfort as well. Is that, okay, this is what we need to do. This is our goal. How do we get there? And we just listen to every single person. And then collectively, we can come to a path to get to that purpose that we want. Again, I've seen a lot of businesses where the owners feel like they're giving up control if they do that. No, it's my way or the highway. This is how I've done it all my years. And forget that. Get the best people and do it collectively. You'll have a much better outcome.
Dave, can I ask you a question? When we hear about, when we have management team or leadership team, it sounds the company is 100 million. My business is a local plumbing business in the suburb. Just like if we bring back your time when you are still starting with one store before it's become everywhere in the world. So I don't have management team. I have a store guy in the store, a receptionist. So do you discuss ideas with them back then, or like how do you? I want to get clear on this.
When Spa World used to be myself, my wife, Adam and Andrew, there's 4 of us. We would sit down, 4 of us, and we'd talk about it. And then, every week we'd have that management meeting, and it was just 4 of us. Okay, how are we going to get to 2 stores? Oh, okay, let's see what we can do. And it was just that simple, and so the conversations were a lot, a lot less. How can I say it? It wasn't very critical, but it was still. We needed to catch up with each other. We needed to see what each other was working on. And again, 4 heads was better than 1 head. 4 heads, like with the ideas, was much better than just my idea. And then 5 people, then 6 people. Okay, now we've got a team, and not everyone's in the management meeting, but now we've got a select few. And so as you grow, the management team evolves as well. And soon it involves the accounts. And this is, we're struggling with cash during these months. Okay, what do we do here? Yeah, so you really need to have those conversations just so we know where we're all at.
Amazing. And David, we haven't touched on this, but you've actually written a book, Lead Generation Mastery, Master the Strategies to Generate High Quality Leads for Any Business. Tell us about this book.
Yeah, because the number one thing I always hear from businesses is, I need more sales. I need more sales. I need more sales. So, I just wrote a little book about what we did to generate more leads, and it's basically on that premise of the Marcus Sheridan book of how to generate more leads. And it was just something, and again, I wasn't even charging for the book. I was just giving the book away. And I was just mentioning this before, is that for myself, I'm semi-retired. I do the businesses that I do just for fun, just to keep my mind busy. But I really feel like I need to give back. And we did it when we were with Sparwold. We used to give back. That was part of our culture, that we give back to our communities. And even now, as a person that's sold this business, I want to give back, and that's giving back here to the podcast, giving back to businesses. There's a number of businesses that I assist without charge, just because they need the help, and their families, and I feel like, if they lose a business, 20 people lose their jobs, families lose food. It's not about the money. The money is secondary. The money is second, and I feel like if you help and give, it always comes back tenfold, and I've always found that.
You're an amazing person, David. You said that, can we purchase this book? Is it available for us to purchase?
I think, I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon for like $4 or something.
On Amazon?
Yeah, just to cover the shipping.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, we're out of time. I told you we could talk about this for hours. We were struggled just to get off the sales side of things. But Gus, I'm going to hand it over to you to wrap up the show.
Thank you. David, once again, thank you so much for donating your valuable time and insights. I think this is important topics. At the end of the day, revenue is the key metrics of a business, and that only come when you actually love the process of getting revenue, which is sales. So I hope I do justice by summarizing key points that I think will be beneficial for our audience. You start the conversation by saying, as long you are good with your customer, they are buying from you. Product comes second. So understanding that we need to be good with customer is key. Sales is your lifeblood. You need to love it to grow your business. Customer don't care about what you care. So you need to listen to what they care. Put your finger on the pulse, and the customer is your pulse. With sales, is all about listening and mastering about asking questions. Pre-framing. If you come across like salespeople or like everyone else in your industry, then your customer will run. Be creative, be different, be bold, and be yourself. You want to increase sales, work on your business culture. As positive culture, create passionate sales team. Business owner, it's all start with you. Sales is about learning and love the process. Sell and it will become contagious, positively contagious. Sales is the lifeblood of the business. You say it many times. It's all start with sales. Key point of sales is don't be the same as everyone else. Thank you so much for your time and insight. On behalf of Natalie and I, we hope you grow your business continuously in the future and keep sharing your insight about sales. Thank you.
Thank you, Gus. Thank you, Nat. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David. It's been a pleasure having you on. And for more information on Leader Talk and for some great resources to help your business grow, check out brainiac.com.au. Bye, everyone.